Now, when we spoke a little bit earlier on, we touched on a number of issues. Let's now focus on another huge talking point, which is the economy. Take us through some of the sentiments.
Well, certainly the state of the economy will be centered to the discussions that are taking place. Or two topics rather that are quite important heading into this into the policy conference has been the issue around land and land redistribution. And early on, we were speaking to Sihle Zikalala, the chairperson of the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal, saying that they are pushing for amendment of Section 25 of the Constitution. And then on the other end, you have the debate around radical economic transformation. What does it mean? What does radical socio-economic transformation mean? So those two topics are topics that form part of the economic transformation cluster or subcommittee of the ANC, and that committee, that commission, is probably one of the most heated debates that one can expect that will be taking place during the course of the 6-day policy conference that is currently taking place. In that insert that you played earlier on, where we had Manilisi Dubase, who spoke to various business people, speaking about low confidence in the economy, low business confidence as well. That is a huge issue. If you look at President Jacob Zuma's speech yesterday, where he spoke about the 1.3% forecast that the country has set after the budget speech, the target is 1.3%. He says that considering the technical recession that the country is currently going through, that 1.3%, as low as it is, seems impossible as it stands at the moment. And I guess that's something that that the delegates would need to look into and say, how exactly can you make sure that you ensure that there is higher confidence in South Africa's business, as well as investing in the country. And of course, there's this debacle as well on the Minister of Finance, Malusi Gigaba, and the Gupta emails that are currently being released. The trenches of those Gupta emails are not making things any better as it stands at the moment. But I just quickly want to take you to an interview that Mr. Kalata had earlier on with Lukanyo Kalata had earlier on with the chairperson of the ANC in Ekurhuleni, speaking about the state of the party and saying that when the party is being handed over to a younger generation, they want to make sure that that party is still in good health. And just take a listen to what he had to say about the 2 days that the conference has endured over the past 2 days, and what the mood has been inside the plenary session.
Well, firstly, I just want to thank all the delegates of the African National Congress who were sent by structures, the manner in which they have conducted themselves. I think that we've seen some semblance of an organization that understands that we have a number of challenges ahead of us other than to be preoccupied with other side issues. So I am happy with how we've always conducted ourselves internally here. And I think that we are now, I've just came to 2 of the commissions. They are full to capacity, which for me says that all of us understand that we are here to assist the organization to deal with the challenges that we are facing in today's terms.
Let's talk a little bit about the challenges that you guys are facing. They were articulated, I think, very well by the Secretary General in his diagnostic report. Some of them being, for me, if I can highlight some of them, was the issue of a decline in the ethics, the values and the traditions of the ANC. As a member, long-standing, surely something like that must hurt you as the movement.
Well, we've always, as a younger generation of the ANC, we've always raised issues that are critical at a particular point in time, including now. We have been very consistent to say to the leadership of the ANC, as a younger generation, we don't want to inherit the ANC in the opposition benches or in crisis. So therefore, all the challenges of the African National Congress must be resolved through structures like the National Policy Conference. What we would like to see going to the elective conference in December is a united ANC that is going to be able to resolve all the challenges that we face, because the electoral decline for us is a major issue. It's an indication that some things are not right in the organization. So therefore, through the diagnostic reports of the SG, all the papers that have been prepared, we are now beginning to critically analyze the ANC internally to say what must we do to change our fortunes, because the ANC is a very important organization in South Africa, and we would want to make sure that we continue to inspire and change the lives of many South Africans.
One of the things that everybody in South Africa agrees on is the fact that the ANC has always had very good policies. The implementation of those policies has been the downfall. How then do you make sure that whatever policies are then decided upon at this very crucial conference, that those are actually implemented and that those go towards restoring to health the ANC that is a little bit ailing at the moment?
Well, there's always been a notion in the movement that will rule until Jesus comes. And in some places, Jesus came very early. So all of us now know that with the organizational processes, when there are decisions, those decisions must be implemented because our people depend on these decisions. For instance, coming to this conference, there are some fundamental issues that must be resolved. As we live here, we must agree on the articulation on the land question. Our movement and the land question are inseparable. The issue of the economy is another issue. You know that the president has over time been articulating the issue of radical economic transformation. What we expect platforms like this to do is to articulate so that the organization entirely and the country at large were able to speak in one voice on how we must radically transform our economy. And other issues are issues of semantic because we've always fought against monopoly capital in general, white monopoly capital in particular. So that many of us should not be found wanting on them. But more importantly, I think on the organizational renewal, we are looking into how best we can produce an ANC that is effective, that responds to challenges of our communities. It can't be that 23 years of democracy, we still talk about poverty, unemployment and inequality that continues to persist, and we don't have a plan for it. So this policy conference will come up with recommendations to the National Policy Conference to begin to articulate very succinctly on how we're going to resolve those challenges. And I'm certain that the leadership that is going to be elected in December will take up those policies and make sure that we are able to change the structure of the economy of South Africa in the interest of the majority of our people which are poor.
When we started, you said that it was important that the ANC not be sidetracked by other issues. One of the sidetracking issues in our understanding would be the issue of the Guptas that has preceded this conference and it has been raised. I understand. I mean, we spoke to the Secretary General about it yesterday, and he mentioned also that it is an issue that has been raised. How is that affecting the discussions? How is the issue of corruption and nature into the ANC?
Well, I think in the diagnosis report, the ANC is very precise on the articulation. The ANC is saying that the standard of measure from the African National Congress cannot be equated to that of apartheid. So therefore, our people expect the best from the ANC. So the sidetrack of the Gupta issues, I think many of us have been speaking publicly to say that they must give us space to conduct the revolution. And we say it so because we understand that it's important for the ANC, the membership, the branches that are here to be able to stick to the task of liberating the people of South Africa. Our task can never be sidetracked by the Gupta issues, and that is why we continue to speak against them and their influence in the broader African National Congress.
Mm-hmm. What, according to Ekurhuleni, are the two that this policy conference must deal with and deal with succinctly?
Well, let me start firstly with the selfish resolution that we are seeking to achieve in this conference as Ekurhuleni. We want the issue of the university in the metropolitan municipalities to be endorsed. Already in the region, we do have such resolution. In the province, we do have such a resolution. I am certain that with the delegation, the high-powered delegation from Ekurhuleni that is here, we will be able to make sure that we get that resolution as the work already. We've done some work, some studies to ensure that we put the concept on the table. As I'm speaking to you now, we have been able to education, a feasibility study, a concept document that talk to the fact that Ekurhuleni poses a chance to have the first university to respond to the fourth industrial revolution that we are talking about, because of the strategic nature of the manufacturing and other industries in our era. That is one area. The second issue is the question of the land. I think the ANC must not be ambiguous on the question of the land. We are not coming to this policy conference to say whether or not we must expropriate. There is a resolution of 2012 in Mangaung to expropriate. What we are calling for now is the acceleration of the expropriation bill in Parliament. We want those comrades in Parliament to understand that our patience is running out. They must conclude the process of consultation so that an expropriation bill is concluded so that we can expropriate the land. On the economy, I think the issue of radical economic transformation, all of us must move here speaking in one voice. I think that the President has been very succinct in articulating the issue of that is confronting us, and we want to call upon all the delegates to focus on those issues and make sure that we emerge here united as African National Congress. And I think that this platform for me is a platform that is going to be a first step towards even uniting on leadership, because the leadership that has no policies in place, because before we can take a decision to elect you, we want to know whether or not you can stand for the issues that matters in the African National Congress.
And just finally, before I let you go, I mean, you raised the issue of leadership. It is a crucial issue that, I mean, that the ANC has been dealing with. Going into December, the issue of slates, how do you think the party should address it?
Well, I think the diagnosis report was quite eloquent in the issue of slates and so on. For us as a younger generation, our obsession is the correct policies. But secondly, we want to have some amongst us represented in that particular leadership, so that we can generate new ideas that will take South Africa forward. If you look into South Africa as a whole, it is a young country. Some of those who are opposed to the National Democratic Revolution are young leaders. So the ANC must be alive to that reality. That is why we are engaging all those with slates. We don't have slates as young people to say there must be a space for younger leaders of the African National Congress who will inject new energies to change the African National Congress for the better, because the people of South Africa are dependent on in the African National Congress. Therefore, it is important that the ANC must regenerate itself and continue to live up to the expectations of our people.
Well, Mzwandile Masina there, the chairperson of the ANC in Ekurhuleni, and as it stands, the only ANC mayor who's in charge of a metro here in Gauteng. And, you know, just listening to him, I have to say that covering the conference, you seem to get some interesting phrases coming from the delegates. Just listening to him there speak about, in some areas, quote unquote, Jesus came early. And yesterday we heard from Zizukota, who said that he expects that from this conference, a rose will grow from a rock. Yeah, it's a bit hard to think about. Anyway, we've come to the end of this special broadcast. My name is Aldrin St-Pierre, but let me thank Lucayo Kalata as well as Crisalda Lewis, who has been with you since earlier on this morning. We'll be back with you from morning live up to the evening as well, covering the ANC's policy conference. It will be day 3 of the policy conference, and we'll be bringing you all the special press conferences live as well on channel 404 on the SABC News channel. It's goodbye for now.
Thank you very much, Aldrin, for those updates. That was our reporter, Aldrin St-Pierre, joining us from Nasrec in the south of Johannesburg for the ANC Policy Conference.